Back in the day when I was in my early teens, I remember, well, back then we didn't have the Wi-Fi, internet, World Wide Web, whatever you want to call it. We didn't have this. Back then we had newspapers and magazines, right? And I remember being curious about astrology, and I would look up my sun sign, and every time, it didn't matter when, what year it was or whatever, I would read it. I would just think, that's not me. Oh, does this strike a chord with you? If it does, please stay with me because we're going to have some fun. We're going to unpack some astrology here, and you're going to walk away with some new perspective on how you can look at your astrology and really take in what's really important. It's a lot like psychology. It's very, very fascinating. All right, I want to introduce you to my astrology wheel. In my field as an astrologer, I do Western astrology. So, Western astrologers, we do everything on the round wheel. This is something I just created for myself a few years ago when I really just wanted to hone in on all the constellations and the planets and just kind of get a good, my hands on. I'm a very hands on type of person. So, I'm just introducing you to my astrology wheel. And when I do charts, I actually don't do them on this. I actually do them on my apps. I have software on my laptop, and then I also have apps on my iPad and my. So it's just really amazing. Um, let me show you that. Hang on. So this is the app that I use on my iPad. It's called Solar Fire or Astro Gold, and so this is the same app that I have on my iPhone. But so I'm going to just kind of introduce you to the basics. But it's really fascinating. Okay, so when we are born, when we take our first breath, we are standing like in the middle of, on earth, looking up into the heavens, right? And earth is just rotating on its axis and just going around. All the planets are going around. So, as astrologers, what they've been doing for thousands of years is they've been tracking the constellation. And I have that on the outer ring. And then the areas of our life are divided into 12 categories, but they call them houses. So house as in like house, but not really. It doesn't refer to a physical home. It refers to the category in a person's life, right? So the first house, we have it set up for Aries, okay? So Aries is going to reflect the person that's coming into the world as a child, right? But if you know your birth time, this will not be Aries. I mean, some people, my grandson is a rising Aries, was in the constellation of the horizon when he took his first breath, okay? So I mean, anybody could be a rising Aries, but it just depends on what your birth time. All right, but for explanation purposes, I'm just doing this as a generic setup, okay? So we have Aries in the first area of your life. This is what you're going to look like um, when you're a baby, and so there will be certain things. If there's any planets that were in that area of the constellation when you were born, then, you'll see those reflect and draw out in that person's personality, right? The second house deals with our money, so we go from what we physically look like to what we we start crawling, and so it's reflects as in Taurus. So the constellation that rules the second house is our money. Okay, so Taurus rules money, and this is the glyph or the emblem that represents Taurus. Okay, and again, I just want to repeat that the slices are 12 slices, but they're called houses. In astrology, we call them houses. So it's really cool because you can see everything in everybody's life, right? So this is the first house, this is second house, third house, fourth, fifth, and all the way on to 12. 12 is ruled by Pisces. So it's when the sun is going down that you can see the area of sleep, or you can see, but we'll come back to this. So I just want to come in and show you that when you have your birth time to the minute, the calculators, the astrology calculators that we use. Back in the day, everybody did it longhand. It was all mathematical points, but I mean it's very precise, especially when you have your birth time to the minute. Okay, so again, I just want you to know that this is the self, this is our money, this is our neighbors, our cousins, our siblings. It's where we go to school. It's how we start to learn to process information. So it's ruled by Gemini. Cancer is what rules our home and family. So you'll see mother here a lot. Anything that's coming up with the mom, you'll see it here. If any aspects are reflecting this area, the fourth house, it'll deal with mother or it'll deal with your home. Real estate. Then here's the fifth house is going to be children. It's ruled by Leo. So you'll see um, high school here. You'll see children. You'll see how you play. Your first child, you can usually see it here, and your first just like if you like to go out on dates, your romance area, you'll see that here. Um, Virgo rules the sixth house, so this is everyday get up and go to work. How you function, if how that you have to see what constellation rules that area of your life. And then the seventh house is partnership, it's marriage, it's business partnerships, it's relationships. So we can see how you interact with other people, how the individual um, forms relationships. So that's the seventh house. And then the eighth house is taxes, insurance, real estate, other your partner's resources, your partner's money. So this is your money, and then this is your partner's money right here in the Scorpio house. And that's the eighth house. And then the ninth house, this is when you can see if somebody's going to be a lawyer, a comedian, um, uh, politics, higher education, if you're going to go for a master's degree. If you have planets, if you have the sun here, you'll probably be taller, so you'll see the sun. For example, my youngest, he's a ninth house sun. So his sun was here in the ninth house. So my mentor, she told me when I first started learning, this is when he was like 7 years old. She said, Audrey, he's going to be tall because he's a ninth house sun. So, I mean, and it's funny because I've seen a lot of patterns that way where anybody who's tall, they're typically a ninth house sun, and that's ruled by Sagittarius. And Sagittarius rules the legs. Sagittarius information, world information. I mean, like all over, world information. It's not local. So this is the third house is local, where this is worldly. And then the 10th house, that is our public image. It's typically your career, how you want to be seen and respected. So, and it's ruled by Capricorn, and typically Capricorns are very high achieving. They're goats, they're just climbers. And so you'll see how the career looks for you here. The 11th house is dealing with friends, groups, clubs, associations, um, hopes and wishes. So you can see that here, and it's ruled by Aquarius. And then, like I said earlier, the 12th house is Pisces. It's ruled by Pisces. And basically, I just wanted to show you all that real quick and kind of briefly introduce you to the natal wheel. But so I hope that explains a little bit of things. And if you're still with me and you're curious, go on to the next. Let's go on to the next one. So, did you know that you're not just your sun sign? We are not just our sun sign, our rising sign. That is the mask that we wear. That is the layer that we show the world. Third layer is your moon sign. The moon sign is so important because it helps us understand why we make the decisions we make. So I encourage you to look up your moon sign to see what constellation it was in, and you'll know why you do the things that you do, or any loved one or friend or coworker or just anybody, business partner, your spouse, whoever it is that you're trying to understand why they make the decisions they make. The moon sign will help you understand why we do what we do. So those are the three things that we need to know. And these are the things that I'm going to share with you in this video. What I highly recommend you do is get on the phone. If you don't have your long form birth certificate with you, go look through your important papers. Go look for your baby book. Get on the phone with your mom, your dad, and try to get a guesstimate of that time. If you can get the time, that is the greatest gift in the world, is knowing your birth time to the minute. If you don't have it, don't guess. I mean, okay. If you don't have it, you probably want to call your state, wherever you were born, whatever state you were born in. Most states have their vital statistics office. For the state of Texas, Texas is a big state, right? Well, I'm blessed, it's right here in Austin. It doesn't matter which county, city you were born in, vital statistics, there's one major vital statistics for every state, and they keep up with all the birth certificates. So ours is here in Austin, Texas. But request your long form birth certificate. Do not request the short form. request the long form. This is where you will get your birth time. Um, if you have your mom, still alive with you, whatever, just ask her, what was she doing when she went into labor, when she had you, typically moms kind of have a general idea. If you have a general time, you can kind of see some things. It's not precise, so I don't recommend that. I highly recommend you get it from the vital statistics. If you have the long form birth certificate, get it from there. And like I said, it's the greatest gift. All right. Once you have your birth time, the minute. Now, if you don't have it and you just need a guesstimate, a regular, just to see, you can see some basic things. You can see where the planets were when you were born. Then you'll want to go and just put in 12 p.m. One of the things that I want to explain to you guys is that once you have your birth time, right? That's crucial that you have that. If you don't have it, then use 12 p.m. Okay. And so what you do is you go into these free calculators and you're going to a circle wheel. And what you want to look for, it's going to be a lot of different things, right? And you're going to be like, I don't know, I can't understand all this stuff. The three things that you just want to go look for is the rising sign, which is typically ASC. They label it as ASC, ascendant. Figure out what that constellation is, and they have these little things, the little emblems or logos for that constellation. And you just, if in that free calculator that I'll put on there, it'll tell you at the very bottom, if you don't know how to figure out what that code is, that's your rising sign. And then the second thing you want to look for is where the moon is, right? So you'll have that little semi glyph that represents the moon, and then you'll want to figure out what the constellation is for your moon. And then, of course, you're going to know your sun sign. So those are the three things. Okay. Now, one of the things that I want to explain as far as when you look at that, the circle, is it's going to be divided into like slices. It's going to be divided. And the reason why it's divided into slices is because it explains to you where especially if you know your time of birth. If you don't know your time of birth, then you're not going to really know where the planets were, and what house they're affecting. And when they say house is not per se house as in where we live at. House is basically the category of the area of your life. So the first ring on the wheel. So let me just show you, for example, this one right here. If you see, this is the outer ring, right? That little yellow ring around it. That is going to tell you where the constellations were. And then the very middle inner ring, that's going to tell you the number of the slice of pie, right? But it's not pie, but I mean, it's just labeled like if it was a slice of pizza or a slice of pie. And you go look at it's 1 through 12, okay? And the first house is going to be what we look like, when we're babies. And like I said, it's the mask that we wear. So you want to know where your ascendant sign was at, which constellation. And like I said, if you don't have your time of birth, then you're not going to know it. The second house is going to be your money. Like, you go from being a baby, from taking your first breath to crawling. And now once you get to crawling and you start walking, you start saying, oh, mine. So the second area, the second slice of the house is going to be about your things, your money, and your health. Okay. And also your talents, what you're good at. And so you want to see what constellation affects you there, if there's any planets. And then the third slice of that pie is going to be, it's going to be school, your cousins, your siblings, your neighbors. It's transportation. It's about how we process information. It's about all your childhood upbringing. Okay. So that's the third house or third slice of that pie, right? And then the fourth one is going to be home and family. And you want to see what constellation affects your home and family. And like I try to tell everybody, we're standing on Earth, and the whole constellation affects us. It's not just our sun sign. The constellation all around affects all these different areas of these slices of our life. Okay. The fourth is home and family and mother. You can see mother there. And then the fifth one is going to be our children, how we play, how we are creative, our dating life. I mean, there's just, you can see like a lot of things there. It's really cool. And then is going to be get up and go every day, go to work. So it's area of work, it's area of dealing with subordinates, it's an area of dealing with your pets if you have any. It's service, it's dealing with the plumber, it's dealing with the electrician. If you have any planets there, you're going to see, I mean, sometimes it doesn't matter if you don't have planets. You want to see what the ruling planet, I mean, there's a lot of layers, okay? But I just really wanted to explain to you that all those slices, they all mean something. They're all covering different areas of our life, okay? The six is work, and you can also see health there too, pets. And then this is going to be the seventh slice is basically our partner, our either our spouse, our business partner, or just anybody we have relationships with. That's what you'll see in the seventh area or seventh house. The eighth area is going to be your partner's resources. It's also, you can also see taxes, real estate, death, sex, um, your first pregnancy. You'll see it in that eighth area, your eighth house. I mean, your first, um, creation, whatever. You also see it in the fifth house, okay? And then the ninth house, that's going to be long distance travel. It's going to be whether you're into comedy, journalism, well, journalism on a higher scale, because ninth house is more worldly. The third house, which is on the opposite end, ninth house is up here, third house is at the bottom, that's going to be local. Okay, so ninth house is worldly, it's going to be higher education, advanced degrees, it's government, if you're into politics, or if you're, a church pastor, preacher, priest, you'll see that house. Then in the 10th area, that's up in the midheaven. That is how we're seen in the public world, right? Just like it's the whole public view. So that's how the public is going to see you. So that's your career, the image that you're portraying, how you carry yourself and how you want to be seen by the world. So that's up in the up in the 10th house. 11th house is going to be other people's children. It's going to be hopes and wishes. It's going to be investments, your friends, your social groups, your clubs, associations. That's what you'll see in the 11th house. The 12th house, that's where the sun is setting. That's where you see sleep, meditation, hospitals, prisons, faraway lands. So basically, all the things that we see in the houses per se, which again, it don't confuse house as in literally house, but it's as in the category of our life. If you are still with me at this point, I just want to give you a big hug and thank you for supporting me on this, my astrology, sharing this information with y'all. It is my biggest passion. It has definitely changed my life over the past 8, 9 years. I just completed 8 years in November, and I'm going into my ninth year. And this is the first time I'm coming out. So I'm excited. And I just want to thank you once again. I hope I haven't, confused you, or I don't know if your head is hurting at this point, but hopefully I've intrigued you. Hopefully I've inspired you. And there's going to be a lot more videos that I'm going to be posting. I just wanted to get this video up. There's some sample charts that I wanted to share, but I thought that should be another video. I probably have overwhelmed y'all. It is a very, very hard. I mean, it's a very hard topic to wrap your brain around. And I want to say, astrology, you never stop learning. Okay, and finding a good astrologer really is like finding a good doctor. There's all kinds of astrologers out there. There's some that are caught at, there's some that are doing, more of the woo woo stuff. And then there's some that are, we're just keeping it to the facts. And like I said, you want to find a good astrologer that matches up with your personality. If they make the predictions like, you thought, which, there's some really good astrologers that can really get you the right predictions. And then there's some astrologers that you're just like, and I've been through a bunch of them. I've seen some that you just wonder about. And then I've seen some amazing astrologers. So everybody has their tool, their bag of tools, and everybody uses astrology differently. And just like, there's a doctor that specializes in one field, you can see that with astrology too. So, last thing, if you're still with me at this point, YouTube seems to think that you might be interested in my next video. So click on it. I'm not sure if it's on this side or if it's on this side, but click on that video in my next playlist. If you like my content, thanks for watching. I just want to thank you once again for being with me this far. I hope that I have inspired you, like I said. And if you want to share what your astrology sign is, post that in the comments and I'll know that you've come to the very end of my video. If you know your birth time and you wanted to share your birth time, that would be cool. You don't have to share your date of birth because that is personal information. But if you know your birth time, I would love to know that you have your birth time down to the minute. All right. Well, I hope y'all have a great evening. I've been working on this video for 2 days and I'm excited that I'm just going to go ahead and post it. Bye.